Welcome everyone to today's webinar, Agent 365 Explained, Control, Visibility, and Security for AI Agents. As AI agents move from experimentation into everyday work, the challenge for organizations change. It's no longer can we build agents, it's how do we operate them with trust, safety, and control at scale. Industry projections show agent usage growing rapidly, with hundreds of millions and soon billions of agents operating across the enterprise environments. At that scale, visibility, governance, and security will become critical. Microsoft themselves said that recently that they will have more agents than people very shortly. That's the exact scenario that Agent 365 was designed for. Agent 365 is the control plane for AI agents, giving IT and security teams a single place to observe, govern, and secure agents across the organization, using that same management and security foundations already in place. So no reinvention, just extending our familiar controls to a new class of digital workers. During today's sessions, we'll walk through how Agent 365 works in practice, the challenges it solves, and how it fits into Microsoft's broader direction, including some recent announcements around Microsoft 365 E7 licensing and the Wave 3 rollout of Copilot capabilities, and what all this signals for the future of AI-powered work. Please note that everything you're seeing today is being released to commercial M365 tenants, and we do not know the timeline for when these capabilities will hit GCC or GCC High. Also, limited information has been available, so please check out the links at the end of this presentation to go deeper than today's episode, as those links will be updated as new information comes out. So with me today is Bill Beener. He's a consultant for our modern workplace collaboration here at Planet Technologies. You may already know Bill from his active role in our Copilot deployments and our You Already Own It Copilot briefing and agent briefing sessions. Bill specializes in M365, Copilot, and secure cloud collaboration across commercial, GCC, and GCC High environments, and has led large-scale, high-security migrations and Copilot readiness programs for many agencies and organizations, helping them prepare for AI while meeting the most stringent compliance requirements. Also with me is Andrew Sloan, who's our cloud strategist here at Planet. And he's going to join the conversation to get us started on Agent 365, and then he'll be monitoring the chat in case you have questions. Welcome, gentlemen. For more information on today's program, make sure you check out the blog on this topic that we posted last week. And we will also have included some very useful links, like I mentioned, at the end of this presentation. So let's go ahead and get started. On our agenda today, we're going to talk about some AI challenges, kind of set the stage, right, for Agent 365, then go into an overview. Then Bill's going to give us a look at Agent 365 if you haven't seen it before. And then we're going to talk about some Wave 3 announcements, which we're going to talk about Copilot changes coming soon, real soon, and the new E7 licensing. And of course, we're going to save some time for questions. So let's go ahead and get started with a poll question. First poll question, again, these are all anonymous. Please, you're going to see this be put in the chat window in a second. If you could, we'd love to hear what you think, what you're thinking. But where is your organization today with AI agents? Have you started yet? Are you exploring them? Are you running a pilot, scaling, operating at scale? I find hard to believe, but I would love to hear what you guys are doing today. Again, these are all anonymous, but love to see what you're doing. All right, with that, while we're waiting for the poll to go, I'm going to turn it over to Andrew. Andrew, take it away.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. So the big topic today, of course, is Agent and Agent 365. And, these are questions at the top of your mind, the top of my mind. And as we have discussions, with many customers such as yourself, these are things that we hear, right, from an agent perspective, because we're really moving from a time where, agents was an experimental thing or maybe a proof of concept. And now people are starting to develop agents, or they're wanting to develop agents. And here are some of the challenges, right? How do we keep track of all the agents? I build an agent, what access does that agent have to other parts of, internally in my systems or my data? Can an agent I build talk to another agent? Who's actually the owner of the agent? How do I get in touch with that person? How do I know who that is? How do you secure the agents? Who's going to manage the agents once they are built, right? And so all of these questions really comes down to lack of visibility and control, so to speak, that organizations from IT to security has. And so we're going to dig into a lot of that today. And really, what you're going to hear over and over, even as we talk about the Agent 365, is that from a control plane perspective, it's going to leverage that infrastructure, those capabilities that you already have access to, right? Your admin center, Entra, Purview, Defender, and some of those capabilities, and bring all of that together for that control plane that you really need to manage agents. And so these are some of the core areas at Agent 365 as Bill gets ready to dig into some of this and really show some practical hands-on of what it looks like. Security, interoperability, visualizations, access control, and registry. These are really the core aspects of Agent 365 and what that control plane really brings, right? Leveraging security from those capabilities that you already have, extending that into there, no matter where the agents are built and where they live from an interoperability perspective. And then we all know we need that visibility or that visualization of where these agents are, where they live, what kind of integrations do they have, right? And then the access control and the registry, right? Leveraging those native RBAC controls that exist inside of Entra that we can leverage. So we're not talking about leveraging other capabilities and tools that don't exist. It's really bringing them all together, right? And then a registry is just what it sounds like. And Bill talked more about that today so that you can track and keep up and manage in a really secure way the agents that exist.
All right, I guess we're ready for Bill to take control over the screen. He's going to kind of take us on a little tour of Agent 365. If this is your first view, here we go.
All right. If you have Agent 365, just throw a thumbs up so I know. And you can follow along too, right?
You have to have Frontier enabled, right, Bill? Right?
I was just going there.
Okay, beat you to it, buddy.
And if for the technical folks or the admins that don't have it yet, you can actually go into your settings in Copilot, the Copilot control system, go down to View All, and there's a Frontier setting down here that you can turn on for all users, some users, no users, whatever the case may be. But this is where you're going to start to see Agent 365 as well as some of the other Frontier apps, agents as well, like oh boy, the app builder, the flow builder. There's a bunch of them that come with this. So definitely invite you to turn it on and see what the latest and greatest is. So a decade ago, we had Shadow IT, right? We had folks that were spinning up cloud apps on God knows what platforms without telling anyone and, copying from here and pasting to there. And today we have a similar problem with shadow agents, right? People are building pretty much anybody with a Copilot license is going to be building an agent in Copilot Studio. They could be trying their hand at something a little less formal as Copilot Chat. They can be bringing them in through Teams, third-party vendors. I mean, they're everywhere, right? Agent 365 is Microsoft's answer by providing that single control plane up in here that allows it actually exposes that new role, that AI admin role. This is designed for that role. This is an AI administrator's dream. It's a one-stop shop, and it doesn't require too much of elevated access, and it still provides them with some administrative capabilities as well. But Agent 365, I would think of it as it's an HR system for agents, right? Microsoft literally is extending the same admin experiences we use to manage people to manage agents. So what's kind of unique is, what we put in place, like conditional access for folks who are, say remote or whatever the case may be. We have the same thing for agents. We can even apply licensing and other types of policies. And they even have their own special Entra ID that we'll talk about. So let's get into it. So hopping in here, this is my overview page. And what's unique about this is that a lot of these are dynamic, right? I'm seeing what signals Microsoft wants me to see, like what needs my attention right now. Everything about Agent 365 lives behind these. And like I said, anybody with an AI administrator role is able to hop in there. So We have, starting my day at Acme Defense Systems for Wile E. Coyote and his chase for Roadrunner. I have a pending request for an agent to be approved. An agent without an owner was identified. I have my agent registry, which is really my one, source of truth as far as, what's out there. It's the number, every agent in your organization that someone, at least one person, has access to. It's kind of like a head count for, your AI workforce, if you will. We've also got active users. This is really going to tell us adoption. A little bit later on, I'm going to drop into DSPM for AI so we can see actually how much an agent is being used. And then we've also got runtime. How many hours equivalent of a human, I guess we could say, has an agent worked? Underneath the hero metrics, we've got governance metrics, which are going to provide us with high level, what's going on, what, our number one platform is in terms of, is it Copilot Studio or is it, it's called Agent Builder, but it's going to be called Copilot Studio Lite. That's the create agent experience in Copilot Chat. But all in all, everything here is everything that I need to see. It's not like those old dashboards we used to have where it's like, okay, I'm going to move this one from over here and over there. This is what I need to take care of today as I start my day. So first one I want to call out, agents without an owner. Think of it a lot like a SharePoint site without an owner, or a team without an owner. There's no one to go to, no one to take accountability for the content that's on that site and who has access to that site. This is going to come up a lot. Folks are going to create agents, probably going to see a couple hundred of them with the word test in the name. But eventually they're going to be abandoned, or folks will move on to a new career. And these agents will still be out there, they'll still be running, and we still need to keep track of them and either take them offline or reassign new owners. Okay. So jumping into Molly the Marketer, this is one, a lot of the engagements that I work on for readiness and enablement, right? One of the questions is, what do I need to be looking at when, if I'm going to approve an agent, right? What's some of the criteria? And Planet came up with a great checklist. One of them, of course, now includes Agent 365, right? We want to look at the overview. A lot of the same options we would tick. Who's it available to? Who created it? Is it deployed? Where do they want this to exist, right? So this would be in Copilot Chat and Microsoft Teams. It was created in Copilot Studio and so on. What permissions does this agent require? Doesn't look like too much. Any special tools? Nope. What's the compliance look like? From a security perspective, we can dive deep into the agent from a purview level with AI visibility. And we can actually drill down and see how folks are prompting that particular agent, right? So we can get as far into the weeds as we want. At the surface here. All right, so we're able to, come in here, take a look at what those prompts look like. But let's go back to our Molly the Marketer. So fortunately, I don't really see a need for it, so I'm actually going to block it. Now that's off my radar. So getting back to approval criterion. So for example, we got a request here from Mira 2. It's a new agent that this guy Bill wants to make available to the organization. Let's take a look, the same steps. Where is it deploying to? What channels? In this case, there's 3. Any special data or tools. And in here, for example, this is where you would start to see things like MCP for SharePoint lists, where we would have tools as part of the agent to leverage SharePoint functionality. It looks pretty safe. But in my experience, you got to hop in there and take a look also, right? It looks pretty safe. I always recommend you come in and you read the instructions on the agent. If you worked with agents or you're a little familiar, most critical part of an agent, right? The success or failure comes down to this instruction set. It's not so much how to use it, but it's instructions on how the agent is to, conduct itself literally, like its tone, its personality, the whole nine. But the reason I say we need to come in here is this is one of the #1 places folks hide Easter eggs, right? And you want to go through line by line, and you want to make sure this is work appropriate, or but also test it. So go away probably isn't something that we want, right? So this is just due diligence on the admin part. That looks like it's part of a topic. And it looks like it's a conversation and it's buried in here somewhere. No. Reading. Yeah, so it's buried in here. So this would get rejected. But we want to take a look at all of these options. And then we want to go back into Agent 365 and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to let you go. You're good to go. Now, this is the publishing agent workflow. This is something pretty new, pretty awesome. This is where we make it, who is it available to? We're going to make it available to all users. And this is, so there's the previous screen where it says, is it deployed and is it available to? So the difference between that is available means that a user can look for it in the agents list of, say, Copilot Chat, right? And if they see it and they like it, they can elect to install it. Deployed simply just means that it's available for this particular group or all users. It's already there. Kind of like you see a lot of the agents here are already available. It would place it in here. So that's really the distinction between the two. Make it for all. Now, what's our security template look like? This is new to me. Pretty awesome. There's some out of the box templates, but what do we need to apply to our agent? Don't lose too much time in here. But let's take a look at what some of those templates look like while that's generating. Okay, so we have a default in here, and that default, we got two defaults. So let's look for the one that's allowing instances. What gets wrapped around it? Well, it gets an Agent 365 Frontier license, and it has some default policies attached for identity, network visibility, so on and so forth. All of this is configurable. You can create your own policies as far as what it can do, what it can touch, where it can be accessed from. A great use case we had was an HR analyst who had access to sensitive employee data that was in SharePoint, and there was a conditional access policy that she was only allowed to access that data if she was physically in the building. So one of the test cases was for the CISO to create an agent from home and try and access that data. Of course, Copilot in itself aligns with all the work that you put into place already. So that conditional access policy was honored, and it triggered an alert. So a lot of these can be configured here. Getting back in here, we're going to do, we'll do the default. This agent doesn't require any special permissions, and it's done. And in about 10-15 minutes, this becomes available in the respective publishing channels. For example, when we create agents, we need to determine, this is where we specify, I'm going to deploy it to Microsoft, to Copilot and Teams, as well as, secondary and premium publishing channels as well. Alrighty. Next on the list, we've got tools. So MCP, all the rage, kind of like the term agentic, but not played out yet. These are super handy. Leveraging these with agents, for example, here, you're making in your agent controls up here, right, your tools, you can actually use MCP, right, and connect to tenant level SharePoint lists, right? This is going to add tools to your agent that can create list items, modify list items, and so on, all the way down to Work IQ in Teams. These are out of the box. These are all Microsoft MCPs. You can also connect to other MCPs. For example, I don't think Learn is in here yet, but Microsoft's Learn MCP is top notch as far as leveraging Learn material. But this is where you're going to be able to see, hey, what does it have access to? Who published it? What is the URL that they need to connect the agent to in order to expose those tools to their agents? Great stuff. So in our agent settings, one thing I want to call out that, we still need Copilot control system, right? Copilot control system is more of the umbrella, and I would say Agent 365 is a specialized layer underneath. We still need, control system for the integrated framework for governing Copilot at scale, like license management, data security, measurement, some management controls. And Agent 365 is really going to extend that specifically for AI agents with the registry, for example. By far, super handy. I mean, every agent in the organization is going to be in here. And that used to be where is, I think my filter's still on there. Come on. There we go. It used to be, an agent would be running, you would see it in the log accessing data, and it'd be like, all right, where does this thing exist, right? What environment is it in Power Platform? Who, do I have access to it? Is it leveraging Power Automate? Like, all these were really important questions that, you needed to have the answers to pretty quick when that phone rang and said, what is this agent doing in my data? And all of that can be answered right here, going into security and compliance. And this is where I think Agents 365 shines, is this tight integration with Purview. I can hop in. I can take a look at agents, who's using them, how much they're being used, what the response looks like. A critical metric is the abandonment percentage, where someone just gets frustrated with an agent because it's not doing what they need, and they just kill the session and move on. We can hop in here. Let's take a look at some agents, for example. Janet is a multi-agent. Let's see what we can find with her. A lot of great metrics. One of the most important, though, is going to be our Activity Explorer. How is someone using an agent? What are they prompting the agent with? What is that agent surfacing in that prompt? Is that content sensitive? So let's look. All right. So we've got columns for sensitive info type. Was web search leveraged? So let's take a look at Transcribo or Janet. Tim's interaction with Janet. So we get all the high level details, and then you'll notice that this box down here is grayed out. And the reason is that even though I'm a GA, that doesn't necessarily mean I should be able to see that data. Those are going to be reserved for compliance administrators or compliance data creators, I think the other role is. So, you know, because we don't want GAs hopping in there reading everybody's prompts, right? Let me see if I can find you a good example here. Yeah, so this is a multi-prompt. So we got the prompts, the responses, and at the bottom, we should have all the information that was leveraged to generate that response, right? Quite a bit here. So a lot of this is tightly integrated into Agent 365. We've also got some Entra reporting as well. Like I said, each one gets its own Entra agent ID. Okay, take a look at Molly the marketer. Now, this probably looks familiar to a lot of folks who work in Entra a lot, right? This is similar to an app registration, right? We've got, and this is an agent, keep in mind, not a human being. Let's talk about who owns it. Single sign-on, we can look at the provisioning. We can look at, you know, look at or assign conditional access to the agent. And we can even assign licensing. And here are our sign-in logs. So I guess just one step closer to an agent becoming, you know, human. It gets everything a human does on the Entra side. So the game changer here for all of our agents is that each agent's going to get its own identity. It's going to get its own licensing, its own policies, its own access. It's basically treated as another employee. There's tight Purview and Defender integration, which is going to be available to just about any agent you click on. Let's pick a more complex agent here for us. Let's try this one. Yeah. So this one's got a lot more. This determines the users, the permissions, right? We see this one requires admin consent, as well as graph permissions that we need to verify, right? So this one's pretty extensive. This is something you would normally see for a user account or an app registration for like PnP for interactive login. Any tools that are associated, any knowledge. So in this case, it's leveraging two websites. Let's look at the compliance gap.
You need a break. We got a question for you, Bill.
Yeah, hit me.
So the question is do AI administrators or global admins have access to view the editor for all user created agents in Copilot Studio, or is it an Agent 365 feature?
Let me step back into here. So I'm in my agents, right? An AI administrator can come in here and click on any and view any of these agents and remove or block them.
But is that done inside Agent 365? Is it part of 365
Yes.
or is it part of just the Copilot control system? Okay, so it is part of the control.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
did you have that featured before Agent 365? I guess maybe is the question. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you did. You would have to go into either Copilot Studio or Power Platform, or you would come into Copilot Control System. I think it was, gosh, I don't even remember anymore. It's a great question, actually. I think it used to be under integrated apps available. Then you would have to hop in here and search it.
I'm specific, yeah.
Now, if you're in GCC today, you'll probably start to see where this brown bar is. Yours is going to be yellow, and it's going to say all agents are migrating to agents, all agents. You'll see a yellow bar says it's migrating. They're pulling agents out of here and putting it into its respective Agent 365 and Copilot Control System category. You can see on this one, it's already moved. But this is where you would have to go to answer that question. Also, the other location would be And I actually used to have this page up because it created a nice one-stop shop for all the agents that were running in the environment. It was just a list, but it was effective. My monitor. Wait. Telling you, stop using something. But what would happen is the agent would be accessible here. It would provide you a hop into Copilot Studio where you could edit the agent or shut it down altogether.
Okay. So what about like the visibility? Like I know they had some nice diagrams of where the agents sat and stuff. Is that still okay? Cool. Thanks. I think that answered the question then.
Yeah, this is actually what I used to use. This, like I said, this provides you one-stop shop. You click and you're in. You can shut it down, do whatever you need to do, but it brings you right into the agent.
But it looks like that feature is now integrated into Agent 365 as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's more of a management and governance than it is like that's brute force power add platform. That's like going into like the agent itself and just blowing it away. Whereas we're going using Agent 365 to manage it, where we can either pause it, shut it down, block it, apply different policies to it to control what it's doing. A lot more options instead of a ginormous hammer. It's more like a specialized tool set.
All right, what else you got in Agent 365 you want to show us? We got to probably wrap this up in about another 5 minutes to get into the rest of the stuff.
That's going to do it for me, guys. The important thing to communicate to leadership here is that Agent 365 is not, just another portal. It's not another place for you to manage, another admin center. It's the one place that an AI admin role, which we know isn't so elevated, can manage agents, can work with them, can work with the registry, access control. And what makes this truly scalable is it meets all 5 of Microsoft's pillars for true enterprise scalability for AI. You got a registry, access control, visualization, interoperability, and security. Now, the question is, come May 1st in commercial, you're going to have, the opportunity to get this for $15 per month per user. And the question I'm asked a lot, is it worth it? Well, think about what you're replacing. Manual agent audits, fragmented governance across Copilot Studio, Power Platform, Teams, third party, no visibility into shadow agents, no unique intra ID. I mean, when you weigh all of that, I think it's definitely worth the $15 extra per month. So, and even more so when the E7 comes out, because that's going to roll out Agent 365, Purview, Defender, and one license. So,
excellent.
Pending any questions, comments.
Keep putting questions in the comments in the question window. We will definitely have a couple minutes, hopefully, to do that. I'm going to turn us back over to the Wave 3 announcements. So now we're going to transition to that. What's changed? Wave 3 marks a new version of M365 Copilot, moving beyond just assistance to embedded agentic capabilities. Microsoft says that the Wave 3 is not just a singular release, but a release of new capabilities of continuous innovation. So they're going to keep building upon this new wave with open models and diverse matter. Introduce, deeper agentic in-app editing is something that's new. Work IQ is going to be more prevalent here in this new wave. Copilot co-work is a new term. Multimodal choices, so you're going to have the ability to choose between Claude and OpenAI. And then obviously the Agent 365 governance and the E7 licensing SKU. Those are all the big things that are involved in the Wave 3 announcements. We're going to kind of tackle each one of these separately here. So, typically, with Wave 3, users can delegate an outcome. That's a big part of this, not just asking for a simple prompt and get a response. And that is the key. Copilot is becoming more of an outcome-based solution, and we're going to talk more about this on the next slide. The user stays in control of the Copilot solution the whole time and lets Copilot do all the heavy lifting. So Copilot can now work on outcomes that take minutes or hours or even sometimes days, not just seconds. It can break the work down into steps. It can work across all the different M365 apps, including Dynamics and Power Platform, very shortly. And it's going to show you and track progress as it's making progress on your outcome that you're trying to achieve. And you can review, guide, and stop the work at any time and refine it. So really, in an essence, it's, you can now say, prepare an executive update on X, and Copilot will figure out all the steps to do that, right? So what does this mean? Let's break it all down into some new terms and some new items here, and some new rebranding. First of all, the new rebranding is, of course, they've got to change it. It's been about, a few months, right? So what's the new name for Copilot Chat? It's Basic. What's the new name for M365 for a licensed user? It's now Premium. So those are the two things you're going to start seeing visually in your applications. You're going to see base Copilot Chat Basic and then Microsoft 365 Premium if you have a license. Agent mode is something that's been around. It's going to become more prevalent here and be more used. Agent mode is going to become edit mode with Copilot. You're going to see a button that says edit mode with Copilot. What this means is it's the ability to take the next step. So, you have your side chat window. It's like if you're working on drafting an email or something, you used to have to copy the results and put it in an email. This is now going to actually create the email or create the PowerPoint for you right inside the PowerPoint. So if you're using the desktop versions, you can actually create the PowerPoint or create the fixes, whatever you're working on, right? So now Copilot works directly inside the file, not just besides it, which is what we've been kind of accustomed to. It's been kind of getting there, but this is really where it's going to start peaking and becoming more useful and hopefully saving us all some time. So in Word, you're going to see things like full document drafting, restructuring, formatting, tell it to reformat, and it'll make changes across the entire document all at once. Excel, same thing. PowerPoint, all the different applications are going to do this. Next is Work IQ. This is a big one here and this is we discussed this back in December, but moving forward, Work IQ is going to change the way in which you work, especially combined with co-work. Think of Work IQ as the intelligent layer that personalizes Copilot to you and your organization. It's the brain behind Copilot that understands the context, the relationships, the work patterns. So Copilot and agents can be faster, more accurate, and then more secure. And then you're also going to be able to choose, which model you're going to be able to use for your job. So simply put, Work IQ helps the system know you, your job, and your company, and provide better results for you. It's more of an organizational context. It's not just files anymore and relationships. So Work IQ is going to give awareness of what recent decisions that were made, relevant documents, meetings, conversations, a lot of things that you thought in the past, but this is more organizationally wide and more organizationally structured. Next up is Co-work. Co-work is actually a new frontier agent. So it is an agent that's being released, and it's not available yet. I looked for it already on my Frontier access. But Co-work is in research preview and was built in close collaboration with Anthropic Claude, which will enable long-running multi-step and unfold answers over time, right? So with Co-work, Copilot's going to move from being an assistant to becoming a co-worker. Co-work lets you delegate real work, like you give it a job, not just a prompt, and it builds a plan, it executes the steps, and works in the background over time. These tasks can span multiple applications, files, run for minutes, hours, and produce an output. Throughout the process, you can actually see the progress, where it is. You can step in and make changes or stop it entirely. So the work is always observable, it's transparent, and you're obviously still protected by all the controls that were in place with security and everything else. So under the hood, Co-work combines Work IQ with OpenAI or Anthropic Claude, choosing the best model for the job. Claude is especially strong for reasoning and planning, so understanding outcomes, not just generating text. So typically, Co-work is going to be working with Claude, but you do have a choice. So in summary, Co-work is a new work experience. Work IQ is the reason that experience can operate with deeper awareness of the user, the team, and the organization. So with Wave 3, it's becoming context-aware, action-oriented with the ability to delegate work, achieve outcomes, and then become governed with the new Agent 365 capabilities as well. So big changes coming to M365 in April 15th. We've already talked about the name changes, Copilot Basic and M365 Copilot Premium for licensed users. For licensed users, not much is changing except you're going to start getting advanced reasoning will become available. Other than that, not really much else going on there for the licensed users. But for the unlicensed users, there is going to be a change. First, you're going to see the word Copilot Basic, right? You're going to see that, and you're going to see the ability that some of the apps are going to remain and some of them are going to be taken away, depending on your experience. If you're using the web, you're still going to be able to see those capabilities in the different applications. But if you're using the desktop client, you may or may not see those, and it depends on the size of your tenant. If you're under 2,000 users, you're going to still see those apps, the Copilot chat inside those applications. But if you're above 2,000, because of the advanced reasoning, I guess they're not giving you everything for free anymore. They're going to take that ability away from you. So just a heads up that this is going to be a user issue thing. You want to get ahead of this and be understanding of what this is all about. So when you get questions from users, you can tell them Microsoft made a change, and that's what it's all about. So the next big thing is that they're going to release this new Microsoft 365 E7 SKU. It's positioned around bringing intelligence plus trust together for agentic work. It's really a frontier SKU. E7 is planned to be generally available around May 1st and is described as bundling the M365 capabilities and Agent 365 governance capabilities on top of the E5 suite and the identity foundation. So like people who are using the Entra suite, this is something you may want to look into, because if you're paying for Entra suite today and you have E5 and you have Copilot, this is a less expensive solution for you. I mean, definitely this is going to save you a little bit of money. Although you do not have to buy the entire suite to get the Agent 365 capabilities. So again, all of this is being supported by WorkIQ, like we mentioned earlier today. This is a little bit about what's going on here with E7. Let me go on to the next slide to kind of show you the breakdown of what it actually looks like, though. So as you can see, it really is a combination of these different capabilities into one suite. So you got the E5 capabilities, the Entra suite capabilities, which some people have purchased. And if you did, this is definitely a better deal at $99 per user versus buying these items separately or add-ons. So it does include the M365 Copilot Premium and the Agent 365 Agent so all this is included in there. And then like I said, you can buy just the agent separately. One thing to note, that the agent is based on users. So if an agent is any user that has agents that are working on their behalf, you should have an Agent 365 license, especially if you're going to start using the new Copilot CoWork agent. That is definitely going to be required for from a licensing perspective. So in summary, the new E7 SKU brings together, again, Microsoft 365 E5 for secure productivity, the Entra suite for identity and access control, Microsoft 365 Copilot for AI, and then obviously Agent 365 for the control plane for the govern and scalability, and grounding all this obviously in your shared intelligence with WorkIQ. So again, it's about a 15% incremental savings if you buy it all together. I'm not here to sell licenses, but I just want to make sure that you realize that if you are buying the Entra suite, you're better off buying the suite deal, the whole E7 suite, which is really labeled as the new Frontier SKU. If you're going to be using a lot of these Frontier products, this is probably someplace you want to move towards. Lots of capabilities here with Agent 365. Let's see, any questions so far? We have another poll question. Would love to go ahead and throw this into the chat window while we're waiting on that. We'll get to questions. So the question is if you only had one to choose from, or I would love to know, which one do you think is the most important for your organization? Which control must be in place before wider rollout to agents? Obviously, these are all needed. I'm kind of curious about which one you think is most important. When we were talking internally, we thought two answers on this one, but we'd love to see what you say as well. Okay, so let's get to questions right here.
It looks like we had one in the window there, Ken. How is Microsoft navigating offering Claude, which is blacklisted by the Fed right now? So this would be in federal DIB, GCCH. And I don't know if we know the answer to that.
Yeah. And again, this isn't available. At least they're not offering Claude yet in anything other than commercial, starting on April 15th or yeah, April 15th. So we don't know the answer to that question, unfortunately, yet. Bill, what are you going to say?
No, I was just curious, were you referring to the Claude models in Azure or the sub-processing in commercial? That was what I was wondering, because I mean it is available in Azure on the GCC side. So that's a great question, because I haven't used it yet.
Yeah, so it's funny that the two answers that we're seeing in the chat window, the agent registry and the ownership lifecycle, are the two biggest answers. Those are the ones that we were talking about internally as well. So interesting conversation there. Any other? So there was some other. If you didn't see the Microsoft Ignite review that we did in December, we mentioned a couple other licensing updates that were coming. So first of all, and it has nothing to do with today's topic, but if you're an E3 user, M365 E3 user, you're now going to get Defender for Office 365 Plan 1. So if you never, so you'll have that enhanced phishing capabilities, enhanced email filtering capabilities. That is something that you're going to get. That well, I think they're charging $3 more with the new rates for the next year, but they're throwing that in at least so that if you're looking for that, if you always wanted Defender for Office 365 Plan 1, they're now going to throw that into your E3 SKUs and above. So just a heads up on that one. That was something I remember. And then also the Intune, the remote access, I believe was going to be thrown in as well. So I believe that was true. So those are the two that I can remember off the top of my head that are not related to today's topic. That is going to be changing. I think as of July 1st, those will be probably in your renewals if you're coming up for renewal. That those capabilities will be there. So the Defender for 365 one's a big one. I know a lot of people are buying that as a separate product as an add-on. So just a heads up there. What other questions we got? I know we had. So we had a question in advance. I think it was related to Agent 365 because that was the topic. And I said, is this a tool only for Copilot? The answer, I don't think you mentioned it, Bill, but obviously Agent 365 can track agents that are built in other solutions like AWS, right? And other clouds from a visibility standpoint, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. On the back end, you're also able, not only check agents there, but also AI usage overall, for example, ChatGPT Enterprise, agents created there, and so on.
Okay. Excellent. Hopefully that answered your question. If it didn't, feel free to come off mute or raise your hand. And if you do have a question, feel free to come off mute as well or raise your hand. So one of the questions is how is Agent 365 licensed? It's on a per user or per agent. And how does licensing apply to M365 E7 versus Agent 365 standalone? So Agent 365 is licensed per user because it applies to agents that are acting on behalf of a user, also referred to as OBO, on behalf of agents or assistive agents. So if an agent acts on behalf of a licensed user, that agent activity is covered under the user's Agent 365 or E7 license. So just a heads up on that. I think there was some question about how they're licensed. It's on a per user basis though, not on a, so if one user has 15 agents, that user's covered for all 15 is what I'm saying. Let's see, are there any other questions? I think that's it. We can't really answer further on the Claude question. If there's other questions, please feel free to put them in the window. As I promised, we do have lots of links here. This is some great information. We've done lots of research and got the latest and greatest links here on today's topic around Agent 365, frequently asked questions around licensing, Copilot, CoWork, and Work IQ. All that information's in these links, so definitely take a look at them. Since today's Cloud Office is already focused on 365, I'll keep this quick. We're currently developing a new You Already Own It one-on-one workshop. As you're familiar with, we do about 22 of these different workshops for you all, free of charge, no sales, no selling there, and no cost, right? This one's coming up. So if you're interested, we're going to go a little deeper on how organizations think about operating Agent 365, the observe, govern, secure themes. The agenda is still being finalized, so consider these bullets on the screen a high-level preview. But if you're interested in a follow-up and scheduling opens, please complete the Microsoft interest form that's going to be put in the chat window right here. I think, yep, Casey's already put it in the chat window, so excellent job there. If you're not a member of our program, which I'd be surprised if you're not since you're on this call, but if you aren't, please make sure that we get you onboarded so you can see all these great workshops that are available. Again, as I mentioned, there's over 22 workshops, something for everybody, everything from Power Platform to licensing reviews to, Teams Voice, Power BI. A lot of folks who are getting down the Power Platform route always take us up on these. So lots of great topics here. Feel free to share them with your organization. We'd love to do them for you. Our next Cloud Office Hours will be April 23rd at 1 o'clock. We still have a few more minutes left to answer any questions, or feel free to come off mute. We'd love to know how we did today. If you could, please put your responses in the chat window, level 1 to level 5. 5 very useful, 1 not useful at all. And that's it. Thank you for joining us today. We'll still hang on for a few more minutes. Thanks for joining us, spending time exploring how Agent 365 brings control, visibility, and security to AI agents at scale. As you've seen, the future of work is human-led and agent-operated, and success depends on governing that future with trust and confidence. Whether you're just getting started or preparing to scale, our cloud strategists and the Already Own It program are here to help you and your AI goals into secure, actionable outcomes. We appreciate your time today and look forward to continuing the conversation. That's a wrap, but happy to answer any other questions if anybody's got anything.